Hey, you jackals. It's been a while since I made a film, and I wanted to share a little secret with you. Maybe it's not so secret, but I kind of think it is in some ways. The more you learn about photography, the more knowledgeable you are, the more difficult your life becomes. The more you know, the more difficult your life becomes. Because the more you know, the degree of difficulty of navigating the photographic space becomes more complicated. And after spending a week at Paris Photo, I was reminded of this once again. Paris Photo is very much about curation. It's about gallerists and book publishers curating the hordes of photographers around the world, making decisions, making choices, making financial commitments to these people, and then presenting them and saying, these are the people that we think are the best for a variety of reasons. Some, I think, are chosen because of the work, some are chosen because of the concept, some are chosen because of who they are. I think that's only natural. And by the way, a reminder for all of you out there who are so incredibly jaded already, the folks who are like, it's all crap, all the books suck, all the photography sucks. It's simply not true. Anytime I hear that, I realize you've never been there. So you probably don't have any idea what I'm actually talking about. But here's the secondary subcategory point of this. You might look at a book and say it sucks, and the next person looks at it and says, this is the book I've been looking for. So just to give you a reminder about like the publishing aspect of Paris Photo, there were books that I looked at that had amazing concepts, but didn't have photography that I liked. There were other books that had great photography, but bad design or bad concept. And then there were the gems, the absolute gems that you looked at, and they had everything. They had great work, great concept, great design, great material choice, great trim size. The object itself was kind of semi-transcendent in a way. But that doesn't mean the next person that comes along and sees it is going to have the same reaction. So if you think everything sucks, it's kind of more about you and your mindset than anything else. So I don't know, maybe a silent meditation retreat, maybe shock therapy could help. I don't know. But let me go back to my original point here. There's no script. I don't script these. I do one take. Whatever it ends up being because I got a lot of stuff to do. I've been on the road for a week. I've got a long to-do list. I had a good call with the Blurb marketing team yesterday until my phone overheated. I was in Sterling City, Texas, outside of a gas station. Yeah, and my phone overheated. So the call got a little cut short, but even with it being cut short, I have a monumental list of tasks to do. And oh, by the way, did I mention I'm going to Antarctica? Yes, I'm going to Antarctica in a couple of weeks. That's going to be a whole different film series. But let me go back to my original point. The more you know, the more complicated your life is going to be, the more challenging it's going to be. And I'm going to give you an example. But before I give you the example, my goal here is not to offend anyone. My goal here is not to point a finger at someone or say this person is not good or that person's great or whatever. It's just something that happened to me that I think is a perfect analogy, a perfect example of what I'm talking about. So a lot of you folks out there who are following this YouTube channel, I have a sinking suspicion that some of you spend quite a bit of time online on YouTube looking at photo-related things, right? Which is fine. If that's what you want to do, that's totally fine. Oh, look at that side lighting. Whoa, look at that. Is that dramatic mood lighting? Maybe I should just sit back and like try to avoid that. The sun just came out. It's been cloudy all day. I didn't pull the blinds down because I didn't think the sun was going to come out. Now it'll probably ruin this film or just make it impossible to edit. So you guys send me links, right? Most of the time, if you're sending me a link to a YouTube film, I'm not gonna probably see it because I don't have the time to look at all those links. If you send me Instagram, I can't see it. If you send me Twitter, I don't want anything to do with Twitter. The anti-Semite that's running that thing, I've just had enough of that guy. I'm done. I'll never go on Twitter again. Facebook, I haven't had since 2012, I think. So I'm not saying don't send me links because occasionally I get to look at a link and I find something that you like that I also like. So I'm not saying don't send links. Just know with YouTube in particular, I don't spend a lot of time on YouTube outside of my own selfish, checking my analytics every 30 seconds. Anyway, somebody sends me a link and I actually start to take a look at it. right? Now here's where it gets delicate for me. And oh, by the way, I probably have like eye soup from waking up. I went to sleep last night. I drove 700 miles yesterday, and then I came home and I went to sleep, and I literally thought I'd been asleep for 10 minutes, and it was 8 hours. And I just woke up completely discombobulated. I didn't even know where I was. I've been traveling quite a bit. And I also spent all last week changing diapers for an elderly person, which is a whole nother story, which I'm sure most of you want to know about. So anyway, this is where it gets delicate because I don't want to name anybody and I don't want to point fingers. This is more of a conceptual critique. Somebody sends me a link. I start to look at it. And it's a major organization has sent a young YouTube photographer to another continent to do a story. Now, I know why this is happening. I know quite a lot about the parent company, the organization that is sending this person on this assignment. I've been following this organization for actually almost my entire life. From the time that I could read, I've been following this organization. So they send this young photographer to another continent to do an assignment. I know why they're doing that. They're doing it because the organization is hemorrhaging subscribers. They're hemorrhaging people joining their organization because this generation, the last generation, and the generation prior no longer subscribed. So we're talking millions of subscribers that have departed because now they're just on social media all the time. So the organization is like, oh my God, we've got to get some young people in here who have followings to try to get their followings to be our following. So I know what the premise of this entire thing is before it even starts. So that's strike one. Because turning to things like this out of desperation, and realize the customers of the parent organization are an intelligent, organized, interested, educated group of people. And they're also a hell of a lot older than the person that's being sent on this assignment. So there is a major disconnect there at organizational level as to how they're going to resurrect this business. I think this is completely misguided. I do not think it's going to work. And the reason I say that is I've been watching them try to do this for decades, right? The slip started a long time ago. The slip started 3 generations ago, and they've never figured out how to engage with the younger market. The younger market is incredibly difficult to engage with regardless of what your brand is, what your organization is. They're younger folks now are demanding in ways that, let's say, my generation wasn't. They're also more sophisticated in ways that my generation wasn't, but they also have a lot of weaknesses like lack of attention span, addiction to social, those kind of things that make them elusive as a target audience. But again, you've got to somehow figure out a way to engage with younger folks. So here, that was strike one. Strike two is they send this person for a week total to another continent to do a story. So 1 week total on another continent. So that means travel days to and from. And then you've got what, 5 days to be in this other place trying to tell a story, which immediately tells me everything is staged. Everything will be set up. The images will be, the locations will be brought, the photographer will be transported to various locations, but the subject matter will be brought to them because 5 days is not enough to tell a story, especially for a story for this type of parent company. They should know better. This is a parent company and organization that historically had some of the longest, most incredible, most well-funded assignments ever. And now they're sending someone who's relatively new to photography by the looks of it, who's only got 5 days. I don't fault the photographer here at all. I fault the organization for being so disconnected to what they're trying to do. Not to mention, they send 2 or 3 camera people, people making the film about the photographer going, which not only complicates things and slows things down, but it makes it even more impossible for the photographer to engage with a community that's not their own because of the zoo that's around you. Blurb sent 2 photographers. This goes back to like 2007. A film crew came to New Mexico and followed me for 3 days. Awesome. I loved both of these guys. They were hilarious and polar opposites as human beings, but they did really good film work, and that film's out there somewhere. It's the Blurb storytelling series, and there's a little film about me in New Mexico. But that totally changes the dynamic. When you've got 2 filmmakers, one right next to you with a wide and one back with a longer lens, it completely changes the dynamic. You are not getting embedded in a community with 2 other people on you like that without severely disrupting the scene. Just being there on your own is going to disrupt the scene, and you have to weigh whether or not that disruption is acceptable or unacceptable. And most of the time, if you take your time and you have the time, you can get in and spend enough time to where you're not only not a disruption, you are completely ignored. And that's kind of the goal. But again, 5 days, impossible. So everything I'm looking at is staged. It's 5 days. Again, strike 1 on the organization. Strike 2 is to give them 5 days, and everything is staged. I'm not interested in this photography. It's not good enough for me because this is what this whole premise is. I know what else is out there. I know what's being done because 2 weeks prior to getting this link sent to me, and whoever sent it, thank you for sending it because I think this is an important topic. 2 weeks prior, I've lost my mind. I am in the archives of a European news site and buried like 20 pages down in the obituary depth level of this newspaper and news organization. There is a photo essay shot in the same country that this young photographer has been sent to for 5 days with a film crew to try to tell a story. But this is a whole nother ballgame. Within 90 seconds of finding this on this news site, I've seen at least 6 images that stopped me in my tracks. And combined together, edited, curated, sequenced together, it was very powerful. And it was representative of a photographer with the time, who took the time to embed with a community and told an in-depth, long-form story. And oh, by the way, this was a skilled camera operator. This person, I don't know this person. I don't remember their name. I don't know how this person operates. I don't know where they live. I don't need to know. All I know is 6 pictures immediately. All 6 would stand alone as really solid single images, but combined, they told an in-depth photo essay. I learned within 90 seconds of seeing the images and then reading the article, I learned a ton about a subculture of people that I knew existed because I've been to this same country multiple times. And at some point 10 years ago, a friend of mine and I had hypothetically talked about doing this same story. This exact same story. We had thrown around the idea of going back to this country together and going high up into the mountains and telling the same story. It never happened for us, but this person went and did it. So when I get a link to this YouTube channel and I take a look at this, within 90 seconds of looking at that, I understand what it is. And it's just not enough. Again, I'm not knocking the photographer. If you gave me 5 days and 2 long travel days on the front and back, and I had to cover all these locations, I would be in the same boat. I don't know if I'd be able to make anything any better. But again, that is the organization's fault. That is called utter detachment from reality as to what this is going to do. So if you know this other thing is out there, it's almost impossible to engage with this lower level stuff, which is the vast majority of what you're going to see on YouTube is low level stuff. If someone is doing a documentary about a world-class photographer and they have an extended period of time to be with them in the field, they've got extended period of time to be with them in the studio, to make B-roll, to do interviews, sure, you can find that stuff on YouTube, but it's rare. And also, it doesn't really get a lot of views. The best things about photography on YouTube and the best profiles of the best people get virtually no traffic. What gets traffic is the low-hanging fruit, is this same thing. It's the gear, equipment reviews, and all this like low-level stuff where people are focusing more on the cameras they're using or the film they're using than they are the actual project because you don't want to see those images at the end of the project. They're not good enough to really spend a lot of time on. So that's the point. The more you learn about this, for example, you come out of Paris Photo, and I don't know how many times I've been to Paris Photo, but this was one of the better years. And it's probably because I hadn't been for a while, so I was more excited about going. I had a team with me that I had never worked with before. The team turned out to be stellar across the board, really fun people to be with. So it was a great experience to be there. But you come out of there and I come out with the feeling, oh my God, I haven't started yet. I haven't started my photography career. I haven't started my book publishing career. There is so much high-level, crafty stuff being done out there that it is a motivating thing. I don't look at it and say, oh, these people suck. This thing is over. That's a quitter mentality, and I'm not a quitter, man. I'm wearing camo, for crap's sake. Quitters don't wear camo. By the way, having some sort of weird weakness in my arm. I went from 120 push-ups a day to not being able to do a single push-up, and I think it's related to my neck. I think I've got either a bulging disc or a pinched nerve. My back is a house of cards. 30 years of carrying a camera bag, blew out my low back in a motorcycle wreck. I've had so many injuries on my back, really bad injury as a kid on a trampoline. Holy crap, I wasn't even sure I was gonna walk again after that. So my back is a mess, and I think it's finally caught up with me. And so I'm having this weird weakness in my left arm, and it is annoying as hell. So my archery career is a bit on hold at the moment, which is kind of frustrating. But it was 18 degrees here this morning, so it's not like I'm rushing out to go shoot, to do some archery right now. I hope that was interesting. I hope that was valuable. Do not let this be a deterrent to studying your photo history, and also studying your vintage photo history and your contemporary history. What's transpiring right now? I just found out about a photo festival in Austria that I'm going to try to hit next year after my book workshop in Spain, which, by the way, is on the island of Minorca in Spain in May of next year with Raw Society, and Sarah Lean is going to call in as a editing master class. And if you don't know her, I've done interviews with her on my Shifter site, and I've mentioned her here many times before. The same with Raw Society. By the way, their second magazine is out. Their first one won all kinds of awards. That would be a good place to start if you're looking for more interesting fodder for where to learn about photography. Two publishers that jumped out at me from Perry Photo that I really like. These were not new to me. These were publishers I've known about for a long time. I actually have some of their books already, but I had not seen them in person for a long time. And one of which I did not see in person. I just saw their books, which was Nazreli Press, which I want to say is either out of SoCal, used to be in Oregon, but I think they're out of Central California now, Nazreli. Radius out of Santa Fe, they had a ton of books that were amazing. And also Gnomic Books, Gnomic, had a long conversation with the guy that runs Gnomic. I love that guy. I can't remember his name because I suck at names. Their books are fantastic. Those are good places to start. If you haven't had a chance to go to Perry Photo, you should. Just go for a day. If you can only go for a day, if you live in the European theater and you can hop on a train and be there, it is so valuable to go. Even if you come out of there more agitated than anything else, at least you'll know what's happening in the contemporary high-level professional photo industry, at least on the fine art side. Not a lot of commercial advertising, editorial stuff happening there. It's more on the fine art side. So hopefully my face wasn't coming in and out of this, because this is going to just be absolutely hellish. But guess what? You're stuck with it because I am not going to redo this. Bye.